teaches the Security and Intelligence Studies course along with me. He's teaching it this fall. I'll teach it in the spring. He also teaches on drug policy, qualitative research methods, and he's the director of the Ridgway Center for International Security Studies. And I think you're going to
drugs and terrorism. So those are the two issues that I will briefly address. And then I want to say a word about my administrative role in running the Ridgway Center, because I want you to be aware of some really exciting opportunities for you this year. Luke, Dr. Condor was talking about Trump's isolationist grand strategy. You see that played out in the war on terror. One example, during the Trump administration, we pulled back in Africa at the same time that ISIS and other Salafi jihadi groups were reconstituting there. That was one factor that contributed to the recent resurgence of that phenomenon in countries like Mali and elsewhere, which have emerged as the post-ISIS caliphate center of gravity of the ISIS phenomenon. That's the place to be these days if you're a Salafi jihadi and you want to build the caliphate, starting locally and then build out from there. The Biden administration has been more aggressive about recognizing the need for U.S. troops in that area to collaborate with local military, local law enforcement to combat this phenomenon. So that's one interesting difference when it comes to GWAD and kind of applying grand strategy. Biden's grand strategy, international engagement. See that played out in GWAD. Trump's grand strategy, America first. Okay, so we're going to pull back. Okay, so you see that actualized, enacted in the global war on terror. Or another quick example, the pullout of Afghanistan. Let's not forget that was negotiated during the Trump administration, right? That whole deal. It was Biden who had the job of implementing it, which they botched. And one of his major foreign policy fiascos early on in his administration. Now that's the new forever war, that Ryan referenced, the forever war. I'm sure you've heard that term that refers to the global war on terror. Actually, the original forever war was and is the war on drugs, which is well over 50 years old. Many of the counterterrorism strategies and tactics that we implement today were actually pioneered during the war on drugs. Everything from interagency task forces to decapitation. Before we killed Osama bin Laden, we hunted down and killed Pablo Escobar on a rooftop in Medellin. CIA forces worked hand in hand with their Colombian colleagues on that decapitation mission. So there's a lot of crossover. And when it comes to the two administrations, Harris versus Trump, yeah, I think you're going to see more similarity on drug policy than differences. Even the Biden administration will not legalize cannabis. I expect the same. Harris will not likely legalize cannabis. They're going to reschedule cannabis at class 3, which doesn't make it legal. It will make it some change. It'll be kind of akin to federal decriminalization, which is not a synonym for legalization. Take my drug policy class in the spring and we'll learn all about that. There's actually quite a lot of difference between decriminalization and full-out legalization. So, yeah, I mean, Trump would do the same. If Trump is reelected, I don't see him changing the reclassification of cannabis back up to Schedule 1, which is where it was, right at the tippy top with heroin, fentanyl, these drugs that kill over 100,000 Americans every calendar year now. So the war on drugs is a huge fiasco. And one reason why it is because both Republican and Democratic administrations are kind of locked in to this competency trap. Let me give you more jargon. We're throwing a lot of jargon at you. Another term, a competency trap, is when you become really good at some policy, but it blinds you from alternatives. And that's what's happened in the war on drugs. We've become really good at supply reduction, hunting down kingpins and arresting them, or killing them if necessary. So that's our specialty. We're less good at things like harm reduction, overdose prevention centers, right? Needle and syringe services. So this is actually an issue that affects us, whether we're aware of it or not, because anybody using illicit drugs these days, even if it's cannabis, you don't know what's in there. I mean, the drug supply has become so polluted in this country. Fentanyl is everything. It's in coke. That's why there's so many cocaine overdoses, deaths. It's because half the time it's cut with fentanyl. I'll stop there on that happy note. Say something real quick about the Ridgway Center. It's my administrative role. I'm the director. We provide lots of opportunities for you to do research, to work in teams outside the classroom. We have some really exciting projects this year, including one on harm reduction. We have another project that is a collaboration with the Pittsburgh Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and we have some other really cool projects. During the marketplace session, you can go to the Ridgway table and learn more about that. And I'll end with the most important thing I can tell you today is that next Wednesday, first week class, Wednesday, I think that's the 28th, the Ford Center for Human Security and the Ridgway Center for International Security Studies host our joint open house, which is for you. Come, get free lunch, learn about the working groups, and you can make an informed choice as to whether you might like to pursue one of those this year. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.